On Tuesday, February 9, 2021, an awful crime occurred in a suburban area in southwest Atlanta, Georgia.
The details sound like a plot you might see on an episode of Chicago PD, but for this young boy's family, it's their reality. The family found his body in the woods near their home. Atlanta police now racing to figure out who killed him. 11 Alive's John Schierick is on the story for us tonight, live from Atlanta. John?
An Atlanta police major tonight angry that someone has gunned down another Atlanta child. In the major's words, we want to solve this case, and fast.
From these quiet woods Wednesday afternoon, screams of anguish. The anguish of a mother finding her 12-year-old boy.
Screaming and crying. She said, my son got shot, and she was on the phone with the police officer.
Charmaine Hart lives on Shirley Street Southwest, 100 yards from where the mother found her 12-year-old boy shot to death in a concrete creek bed. The child had left home near here Tuesday afternoon to visit friends. His family reported him missing Tuesday night, looked for him everywhere, then found him in these woods, where he and other children often played next to the John A. White golf course. The people of Shirley Street speak of hearing bursts of gunfire Tuesday evening, coming from the woods behind their homes. Christine Leggett heard 2 sustained bursts.
Just like doom, 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 doom. And then silence, and then like not even maybe 5 seconds, doom, 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 doom. So it was really scary.
They heard gunshots last night.
Atlanta Police Major DeAndrea Price says the autopsy may establish when the boy died and whether that was the gunfire that killed him. Detectives, she said, looking at every person in the boy's life and at area gangs and at every possible suspect and motive and possibility.
But when our young people are gunned down in our city, we will work hard to bring whomever caused this young man's death responsible. We're asking for justice. We want to solve this case of this young juvenile.
That just hurt my heart, and I just been praying ever since for his soul.
A mother's anguish, everyone's.
Atlanta police say they've been getting some great leads, and they're asking anyone with any information to call Atlanta Police or contact Crime Stoppers Atlanta and leave anonymous tips for a possible reward.
Yeah, hopefully they find that answer very soon, John. Thank you so much.
The 12-year-old boy was named David Mack from southwest Atlanta, Georgia. At 3 p.m. on Tuesday, February 9, 2021, David was at home whilst his grandma left the house. At 3:40 p.m., David calls his grandma, asking to go to a friend's house. 5 minutes later, his grandma Glenda Mack returns home and finds out David isn't there. David never made it to his friend's house. David FaceTimed his friend and said that he was going somewhere else in the neighborhood. The friend asked if he could join. His friend said all he saw was David's face on the phone cam, but he heard somebody say, "No, say no." At around 6 p.m. on Tuesday, February 9, neighbors heard gunshots coming from the back area of the creek on Shirley Street and between John A. White golf course. David's aunt said after the gunshots were heard, 2 young men were spotted running in opposite directions on Shirley Street, a short street that backs up to the John A. White golf course and forms a loop off of Beecher Road. It was getting late and David still hadn't come back home. Around 8:43 p.m. his grandma becomes worried and calls 911. Between 9 and 10 p.m. an officer came out and searched the area looking for David. On Wednesday, February 10, 2021, the family of David Mack made a sad discovery and found David's lifeless body in the Itoy Creek near Shirley Street and the John A. White golf course. David was shot 6 times and suffered severe injuries. He was also badly beaten. The cameras were not working where he was last seen in the park near the golf course. In February 2021, the community along with the City of Atlanta police continued to look for answers.
An entire community wrapping their arms around a grieving family as they continue to search for answers. And the person who killed their loved one, 12-year-old David Mack. Atlanta police say somebody knows something, and they're pleading with people to come forward with information. It's not too late. David's family, friends, and police canvassing the neighborhood yesterday in southwest Atlanta, where David was found shot multiple times about 2 weeks ago, hoping to find new leads. Officers on foot, horseback, and motorcycle spending hours knocking on doors and asking questions, all while the family, distraught and heartbroken, looks for closure. Joe Ripley joining us live now from outside Atlanta Police headquarters with much more here. Joe, what have investigators found so far? They say they have some things in progress, some leads.
That's right, Sheba. Atlanta police homicide detectives say they do have some leads, though they're not confident in sharing those with the public at this point. But they're hoping one of those leads can help lead them to solve the big mystery this morning. Who shot and killed 12-year-old David Mack and left him for dead in the woods there in southwest Atlanta? Well, that search continues this morning, and on Thursday, you mentioned police canvassing the neighborhood around Shirley Street. That's where David's body was found earlier this month. Police, along with neighbors, joining David's grieving, emotional, and exhausted family, spending hours going door to door, handing out pamphlets. Officers say they are making some progress. They have a witness who says David may have been with someone around the time he went missing. Right now, investigators are looking for anyone who might have seen him around 3 in the afternoon back on February 9th. The 12-year-old's family believes someone has the info that can bring them closure.
He called everybody. He kept in touch with everybody. So we're no longer going to get phone calls. He's no longer going to be able to check up on people because somebody took him from us.
Atlanta Police Chief Rodney Bryant, as well as Atlanta City Council members, promised to continue dedicating resources to help find David's killer and bring that family justice this morning. There is a $10,000 reward up for grabs for any information leading to an arrest. If you know anything in this case, you're urged to call Crime Stoppers.
On the first-year anniversary of David Mack's murder, his aunt expressed frustration at the City of Atlanta police for not giving his family more information on his case.
Tomorrow marks 1 year to the day that a family lost a 12-year-old boy. And now, a year later, David Mack's family still pleading for answers. CBS 46's Zach Summers joins us live now. And Zach, that family speaking out again today.
Yeah, Rick, David Mack was just 10 days shy of turning 13 when his life was cut short. His family, making that gruesome discovery just beyond that tree line you see behind me. However, a year later, there are still no answers as to who murdered the young boy. There's not a day that goes by Wanda Mack doesn't think about her grandson, David.
It's a hard feeling because I thought he was coming back home.
12-year-old David Mack disappeared a year ago today. He was last seen on Ring video outside his grandmother's home on Beecher Road in southwest Atlanta. The 7th grader told his grandmother he was going to play with a friend, but never made it.
Right there where that clear cement area is.
David's family found his lifeless body in a wooded area off Shirley Drive, not too far from his home. He had been shot several times.
There is no amount of therapy that can heal us, that can remove the trauma that we face finding his body and in the manner in which he was killed.
David's aunt, Ayanna Riley, is frustrated with the apparent lack of information in the case. She says they've received little to no updates from Atlanta police about the investigation.
We know nothing about forensics being done on his phone. We know nothing about them pulling camera footages. So in our minds, Atlanta PD has done absolutely nothing.
The family pleading for someone to come forward so they can find some peace.
I know what it means to be scared. Sometimes you just have to walk out on faith and know that you're doing the right thing.
Now, Atlanta police sent CBS 46 a statement saying that their investigators are committed to solving this case, reminding the public that there remains a cash reward for information leading to an arrest. And if you do have information, you can call APD or Crime Stoppers. That number 404-577-TIPS. Live in Southwest Atlanta, Zach Summers, CBS 46 News.
In July 2022, the City of Atlanta Police gave updates on the David Mack and Katie Janis cases.
Deputy Chief Charles Hampton Jr. As Chief stated, the first case we'll talk about happened on February 10th of 2021. And as we approach the beginning of the school year, it's important that we're mindful that our kids are important to us as well. But on that day, a 12-year-old was shot and killed in our city of Atlanta. And we're asking the community, we're asking friends, we're asking people who we believe have information on that particular homicide of David Mack to come forward and let us know what happened. We're asking people to call Crime Stoppers where they can remain anonymous. But it's important to us, as Chief Shearbaum stated. Our detectives assigned to the homicide unit spend countless hours trying to solve cases. And many cases are solved by the commitment and the cooperation from our community. And so this is a plea that we ask you to do the right thing and help us bring closure to this family that's been suffering for the last 17 months. Major Peak will go into a little bit more great detail of that case. But again, our plea is to help us so we can help this family bring closure to this 12-year-old.
How you doing? As you heard, David Mack was 12 years of age at the time he was killed. David Mack was a grandson, loved dearly by his grandmother, a son, brother, and friends to many in the neighborhood. He was reported missing on February 9th, 2001 by his grandmother because he failed to return home. Tragically, he was found deceased within 24 hours on February 10th, within a half mile of his home. Investigators continue to follow up on leads that come in. However, they slowed down since the last press conference. We've recanvassed the neighborhood. Investigators strongly believe with the public's help, we can bring this case to a close and bring the person or persons involved in his death to justice. The Mack family, the Atlanta Police Department, and particularly Homicide Investigator Malone, asks that if you have any information, please contact the Atlanta Police Homicide Office, Crime Stoppers, regardless of how minute you think that information you have related to David Mack. It may just be what we need to break this case, to find a motive and bring someone to justice. Thank you.
As of February 2023, the murder case of 12-year-old David Mack still remains unsolved. David's life was tragically cut short just days before his 13th birthday. His family are appealing for anyone to come forward who has any information which will help bring the killer or killers to justice.